Get ready to enter the Thrive Time Show.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
We started from the bottom, now we're on the top. Teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of five, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the C&Z up on your radio. And now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get.
Jack, in your book, The Evolution of an Entrepreneur, which is awesome, by the way, it is fun to read, filled with great altruisms and principles and things you've learned through a life of 70 years of entrepreneurship. But you say here that you write in your book, really understanding a problem can be complicated and difficult. It often involves talking to multiple people and digging into the numbers. This kind of deep understanding is crucial to solving issues. You can't design a solution for something you don't understand. Jack, kind of unpack this for us. When you say that, what does this mean here, this understanding the problem?
Well, most people don't understand what the real problems are.
Okay.
There's a problem like my problem I spoke about in Italy. I didn't understand what that problem was. Understanding what the problem is, it can come from a number of places. It can come in your factory. I found I was getting very poor production for a while out of the French factory. And I came and stayed there for a couple of months myself and ran the company and found out there were too many hidden cubicles. There were walls and places where things were being done. So I just opened up the whole factory.
There you go.
So everybody could see what everybody else was doing, and it solved the problem. It solved the problem.
You love the floor plan of our new Thrive studios. That's what we have. It's open everywhere. Everything is open. Why was it such a time killer when the cubicles were hidden?
Well, this is what they did in those days. This is what they did in those places, and I saw no reason to keep it going that way, and I had the advantage of the point of view, and I saw what was going on in the factory, and if a certain area wasn't producing right, it was there. Mm-hmm. It was there. It's worthwhile. That's a simple reason. There's certainly more complex reasons that business doesn't go in a certain place. Maybe the competition in that area is too fierce to break in a new line.
Well, you wrote in your book, you said that you acquired an advertising agency headquartered in New York City, which was part of this leveraged buyout. And one of the reasons it was losing money was its executive expense accounts. The executive lunch meeting started with 3 martinis.
It was, and it did, and it aggravated me for a while. And I spoke for hours with the president of the company. And then I realized something, it hit me. There was no way I can police it, and there was no way I could get discipline in there. And the best way was to get rid of it, which I did.
Okay. So, but again, you had to fully understand the problem before you could solve it. You had to, in one case, go to the factory for 2 months and figure out the problems and solve it. The other time, you had to go look at the business that you purchased in this leveraged buyout and discover how the expense accounts were much larger than they should have been. But these required kind of boots on the ground, getting into the weeds, getting into the details, kind of that deep dive, right?
Yes.
So if you're watching this, an action item is that if you have a problem in your company in accounting or sales or something, sometimes you just got to clear off your schedule, block it out, and just get into the weeds.
You've got to go through the hardship. You've got to go, as you said, through the weeds, and you've got to find out what's holding the business. And somehow or other, it only gets done by your own personal inspection. Usually, someone has a reason to keep it that way. A department they want to work in that should be open. A kind of merchandise that they want to sell that we don't want to sell. So it has to be that's what running a company is about.
Mm-hmm.
Not going through and say how are your wife and kids.
Yeah.
But it's hey, here on this report I got this is happening. Why is that happening? What is the problem here?
Really deep diving in.
Boom. So you've just got to keep diving in. That's the only way you find out.
Jack, I appreciate you sharing because, again, in your 7 decades as an entrepreneur, I mean, you've seen the same problems over and over. I mean, technology might change and the world might change, but some of these principles are timeless. They just keep, decade after decade as the world changed and you've got into different businesses, you saw the same problems over and over and over. And it seems like you've kind of come up with a way to, if you have a problem and you want to solve it, just dive right in, find out the root of the problem, look at the fruit, but get down to the root.
Get to the basic right away. Get to the tough part.
Arthur, how are you? How are you, my friend?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing great. And I'm here to talk to you today about train or get ready for customers to complain.
Okay.
And this is a tough subject for a lot of entrepreneurs watching this because there's a lot of people maybe like you or like me who, if you're watching this and you would rather do anything than train people, then this might be just for you. Because I know in my businesses for a long time, I would rather do anything than to train my staff. Mm-hmm. Because in my mind, I always would say, well, this is common sense. But yet it wasn't common sense because people didn't know how to do it. And so we're going to get into the systems that you've used to train employees to keep customers from complaining. So, Arthur, now, just to give people a little context, you are a Guinness World Record-setting Chick-fil-A store owner?
I am.
What exactly does that mean? What Guinness World Record do you have?
I have the world's largest lemonade, and actually that got beat, but I still have the certificate.
Oh, who beat it?
China.
China?
Of all places, yeah.
It's probably some sort of communist effort. They probably required their people to team up and do this.
They probably, yeah.
Okay.
So, and then I have the one for the world's largest sweet tea.
No one's beat that.
No one has beat that.
Come on, China. Come on. Where you at, China? All right, here we go. So, now moving on. All right, so I'm pumped up and I'm ready to get into this. So, Arthur, when we're talking about this concept of train or get ready for the customers to complain, when you finally earned the right to own your own Chick-fil-A, when did you realize that you would have to spend a high percentage of your time training people to maintain those high quality standards?
About 2 hours after I started as an owner.
Really?
Yep. Because we have this mindset of, ownership is, basically just leading. You get to be in charge, and you get to boss people around, and then you actually get into it, and you're like, holy moly. I did not see this coming.
Okay, so let's just walk me through it. Okay, so how old were you when you first took over a Chick-fil-A store?
22.
22. So you've been diligent. You worked your way from the bottom. You were the fryer guy.
Cashier.
Started off as a cashier.
Yep.
Worked your way up. Boom. Now you own your own store.
Yep.
And so you discovered, okay, I'm going to need to train people. What was the moment where you said? What was that first moment where you said, "Oh, I cannot believe I had to train somebody on how to do that"? What is that?
I don't know if there was just one moment. There's all kinds of moments when you're looking, going, okay, here's one, is that a girl said to me, I handed her a broom and said, hey, can you sweep up this area? And she said, I don't know how to sweep. We have people that come to our house to sweep for us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you had to teach how to sweep?
I had to teach her how to sweep. And it was pretty funny watching her sweep because it was kind of contorted and she really didn't, I don't know what she was doing, but I trained her.
Well, if you are having to teach your staff how to sweep, then you can get some more sleep here tonight knowing that you're not alone. He has been through this funk as well. So, Arthur, I'm going to read you a quote here from Andy Grove. This is one of the top management experts out there. And he has a book called High Output Management, where he says there are only 2 ways for a manager to improve the output of an employee: motivation and training. Therefore, training should be the most basic requirement for all managers in your organization. An effective way to enforce this requirement is by withholding new employee requisitions from managers until they've developed a training program. What he means is you can't have any new employees work underneath you until you've come up with an effective training program. You just can't add more and more employees, that you're managing until you have a system. So from a motivation standpoint, what types of things does your company do on an ongoing basis to keep the entire team motivated outside of the tasering, which I know you've been known for staff tasering on Tuesdays?
Yeah.
What do you do to keep the team motivated?
Well, first of all, I mean, one thing I want to make sure is that each Chick-fil-A is individually owned and operated, so they're going to do things a little bit different.
Okay.
And so some people, I tend to be on the extreme of, doing crazy fun things. Other operators may not. They may just whip them all the time. So probably not, but maybe.
Yeah. I mean, do you do some stuff on a weekly basis to keep the team motivated? Do you do any do you do any of the inspirational videos, or do you have inspirational books you all read together, or what do you do to keep, or do you not do that?
Well, we do all kinds of stuff. So like one of the things, like even my management team right now, one of the basic books that I have them read is 21 Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. That is entry-level leadership book. So if somebody wants to be a leader for me, that's what they do. But like currently, we're actually rereading this as a management team. And every week we'll go over one principle and we'll talk about it and get other insights on it. But then we have the same types of things for our employees. Our employees, they actually have online video access with Chick-fil-A that they can go online and watch their videos. And we actually get a printout every week of who's been watching them, so we know who's moving along, who's not, so we can encourage those. And we like to reward those who have been watching their videos, and you can see their progress, and hopefully that inspires others to join in. So
you've got 21 Laws of Leadership your team's doing. They have ongoing training videos that Chick-fil-A provides for them.
Yep.
What do you do to keep yourself motivated? Because I know there's a lot of people watching this who, not going to get too deep into this, but there's sort of an addiction of new, where everyone loves to start a new business. You and I see this all the time. People are like, it's going to be great. It's going to be new. And just the word new, it's something about the word new. New car, new house, just new. But then after you get past the new and you start making your 4th or 5th small business loan payment, and you start having your 20th and 40th employee blow up, and you get sued, and just business starts happening.
That's right.
Your sign, your beautiful sign you just spent 20 grand on, the wind knocks it down and it's not insured properly. Just when that stuff starts happening, what do you do to keep yourself motivated?
Well, for me, one of the big things is Charlie Tremendous Jones talked about the difference you'll be between the person now and in 20 years is the books you read and the people you associate yourself with. So at different points in my life, I will just engulf books. If I'm doing a lot of traveling on the airplane, I can sit there and read a lot of books. But when I'm at home and I'm balancing the kids and other things, I may not have as much time to read. So then it kind of bounces into who am I associating myself with. And so one of the things I encourage people for is who's mentoring you. Or a lot of people, for some reason, feel that we're an island of ourselves, and we're not. And so you and I can sit around and we shared stories about how this has happened with our staff, or can you believe that the wind blew the sign down? Of course, we live in Oklahoma with all the wind and everything, so that's normal.
I want to give a couple examples on this just to add another layer of context to it. One, Charlie Tremendous Jones is a phenomenal sort of a self-help guru, and when he talks about it's what he said, the people that you associate with and the books you read determine where you're going to go, basically. Yep. I can say this specifically since knowing Arthur. One time I was getting sued, and I think I've shared this on other Thrive episodes, but we had a guy who cut his toe off. And I remember being like, first off, you go through that sad phase where you're like, oh, it's so sad. Then when he starts suing you, you start going through that like, oh, I hope your toe heals, but you get kind of frustrated. Then you move into that like, you're just bitter, and then you just all these different emotional states you deal with as a business owner, because I'm dealing with this. And so I'm talking to Arthur about just something, and then I learned about some stuff you were going through, and I didn't even tell Arthur what I was dealing with, and I thought, well, I'm doing great. So I think that sometimes that does help to hang around other business owners and to see how they handle adversities.
Right.
And then the book thing, I know what you're talking about, and I have found in my life, if I can turn my drive time into motivational time, like I can turn my car into a mobile library of self-help.
Absolutely.
That helps me too when I'm busy. Reading books. I mean, these are all things you can do, but it's so important why is it so important for you as the manager to always be motivated when it comes to like managing your staff?
Well, for one, is that you're going to set the tone for what goes on. For me, I'm going to set the tone for what's going on in my restaurant. So if I come in a bad mood, my management's going to be in a bad mood. When my management's in a bad mood, my team members are going to be in a bad mood. And then who are they going to take it out on? The customers. And that doesn't serve well in a business environment.
Now, how much training time do you have to pour into every employee at Chick-fil-A in order to get everyone to perform at that level where your customers are always going to be wowed and it hits that Chick-fil-A standard? Because Chick-fil-A is known for excellence.
Right.
So I guess my question is, how much time do you have to spend on each employee to get them to perform at that Chick-fil-A standard?
Well, before they even start having contact with the customer on their own, we've trained them for about 16 hours.
16 hours. This is Chick-fil-A. We're talking about serving chicken. We're not talking about putting the cones on nuclear missiles. We're not talking about powering up nuclear submarines, anything nuclear at all. In fact, we're talking about serving chicken.
Right.
And so you're saying 16 hours?
Right.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this right now, I want to ask you that question. How many hours does your staff get trained before they see customers or before they're expected to perform? That's 16 hours at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody else who trains that much with their staff before they see customers?
It's funny because some of the high-end companies, when you start thinking about companies that do things right, the Quick Trips, the Disneys, the Starbucks, others, they generally have a pretty in-depth training program as well.
That's huge. I just want to make sure you're understanding this. Southwest Airlines, JetBlue, Quick Trip, Disney World, Chick-fil-A, they're all training their staff for hours and hours and hours before they ever see a customer. That's huge. Now, I know you see poorly trained employees as you kind of live your life and you go around to different businesses. We all go to the same big box retail stores. We all buy groceries. We all have to pump gas. When you see these companies that have these poorly trained employees, what goes through your mind?
Well, honestly, most of the times when I see that, I think there's a disconnect between, to me, it's that the leadership doesn't care. Okay, because there's retailers, I won't name names, but that you go to and you just watch the employees and you watch the interaction between the management and employees sometimes, and you could tell that neither one of them care about being there, and that's a problem. Yeah, the other day, I'll just mouth them because I don't want to say their names, but the other day I went and I go to this place and I'm in there and I said, hey, can you direct me over to this product? And the lady says, yeah, it's over there. Like over there, like the other end of this store. So I said, hey, I'm looking for a day planner. I'm looking for a day planner, and I don't see them. And I know I'm very familiar with the word day planner. I know what day planners look like. I've been to the far realms of your store. I've seen the future. I've been there. I've come back. I'm asking you again. She's like, I don't know. And I just wanted to So I go talk to the manager, and I said, hey, do you know where? Well, he walks me back. And very kind and shows where they're at. And I realized that there was that disconnect like we were talking about where he's a kind person, but this person was, and to make it worse, they kept texting the entire time that they were seeing people in the line. Another example, the other day I went to a restaurant. Well, I love the restaurant. And everyone waited in line for at least 10 minutes before they were greeted by anybody. They were busy, and you could tell there's a newer person working the front line there. And I just think it's so important in business that we all need to spend that time training our staff before they see customers. And I love you have 16 hours invested. That's phenomenal. Well, one thing I want to add in there is that, and a lot of people don't get this, but one of the things we do with our staff is if they're starting out, we will put trainee on their name tag. And a few weeks ago, someone came to me and they said, can I pull the trainee off my name tag? And I said, it's totally up to you on if you want to pull it off or not, whenever you're comfortable. But the customers when you see trainee on the name tag, there's a little bit of forgiveness that we give them. It's like, oh, it's okay, that's their first day. Now for me, I always want to put trainee on my name tag, Arthur Greeno, 25 years, trainee.
Yeah.
Because I can get away with that stuff. But I couldn't get away with it, so I can't put that on there. But I think that's a small thing we can do as owners to put them in that position, because that way if the customer comes up and they have a difficult situation, when they see trainee on the name tag, they're going to look for somebody else, and then that employee doesn't feel attacked.
That's an action item you can put on there. You can put on there trainee. I love that. Now, Arthur, why aren't more companies devoting the time needed to train their employees properly? As an example, and I want you to chime in on this. One guy I know, he trains people to be on the phone all the time. Their whole job, their core job is to call people. But most people are trained for about 30 minutes and then they're on the phone. So it's like, well, this is how you do it, get on the phone, bam. Why? I don't think the guy wants to ruin people's lives or upset customers, but why are more people not taking the time needed? Why is somebody taking 30 minutes to train somebody instead of maybe 15 hours or 10 hours or 5 hours or the amount of time needed? Why is that?
Well, I think that it's just not a focus for them. I mean, it's, but then when you look at them, when you look at the level of quality, you're not going to see the same thing. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at companies like Disney, one of the things that make Disney so phenomenal is their attention to detail.
Yeah.
It's like taking a football and running, all the way across the field versus running to the 90, all the way to the 10-yard line and stopping. And I think a lot of companies do that when they get to training. It's like, okay, we got momentum going, they can handle it from here. No, they can't handle it from here. Walk them through the last stages so that you can make sure you have those details.
And I think that Disney is like that gold standard. I also think Chick-fil-A is that gold standard. Mm-hmm. And I look to them as groups that I aspire to be like. That we can be as good as they are someday. I mean, these are companies that do it the right way. So if next time you go to Disney World, look around, kind of take note of the magic and figure out, I wonder who trained these people, and I wonder what kind of standards these people are being held accountable to. Now, Arthur, Peter Drucker, he's one of the top management experts of all time, and he says, what's measured improves. So Arthur, in terms of training your team, what types of things do you do on an ongoing basis to make sure that your entire team is trained properly? I mean, after they've gone through the initial training, and you're like, well, this is how the milkshake thing works, this is how the chicken stuff works, this is how the fryer works. What do you do to make sure and to measure to make sure they're properly trained?
Well, we have different systems built in place to inspect it. One of them breaks down the entire restaurant into small 20-minute increments, so that every day my management is going over a different component of it. It may be a little bit on customer service, maybe some on quality, and maybe some on drive-through exterior, whatever it may be, so that they can make sure those systems are being followed. And part of the tools that we actually have, and Chick-fil-A created this, is that if they fail, we can literally walk over to that team member and say, okay, here's what it's supposed to look like. Here's what it looks like. Here's the training video, and you can hit it on the iPad, and
sick.
It'll show the training video right there, so that we can say, hey, why don't you take 5 minutes and go step over there and take a look at how that looks, and then come back over here and let's do it again together.
That's beautiful.
And so it is just a continuous process of how do we keep our focus on quality.
If you're watching this and you're saying, well, I don't have the Chick-fil-A iPad training system. Another example, I know a wedding coordinator who's phenomenal. And what she does is whenever she finishes doing a tablescape, she calls it, she takes a photo on her phone and she saves it. So if you were to come work for her, she would say, well, this is how you set up the table. Make it look like this. And then it's a visual example. So we can all do it, whether you just have a smartphone and you have paper and you just have to kind of make an example sheet like that, mm-hmm. or you have something as elaborate as the iPad training system that Chick-fil-A has. We can all do that.
Now, with your phones as well, nowadays you can do a video. Like if you were wanting a certain way, you could demonstrate that. You could take your phone and you could record it, and you can even set up a YouTube account just for your team if you wanted to, and say, here's our training program. Because maybe you can't afford, you have 4 employees, you can't afford this elaborate, cameras and stuff like that to do all your filming, but you can say, you know what, here's how I want it done, and you demonstrate it. Have someone record it, put it on YouTube.
Not everybody can have gold chandeliers in their restaurants like you do.
That's right.
Solid gold Chandeliers. Okay, so now I want to read this quote to you here. This is from Inc. magazine. This is an article that was written there, and it says 3 out of 4 employees report that their boss is the worst and most stressful part of their job.
They interviewed my employees?
What are they doing? How do they get their information? No, but one of the things I found when I meet small business owners all over the country, like the other day I met a guy at an event who was unbelievably inspirational. And he told me about how his company was growing, and he just started out and it's growing. And I could tell that he's going to do well because you would want to work for him. Mm-hmm. You look at the guy and you're like, I would like to work for this guy. He seems like a kind, decent person. I met a lady at a conference there, at the same conference. Same thing. I said, man, this lady's sharp. I bet you that she's going to be successful. Well, I talked to her, found out sure enough she is successful. And you just pick up on it real quick. Then I met a guy who seriously looked like he'd been on a diplomatic mission to hell and back. And he had gone there, he had come back, and he just looked awful. He looked like he hadn't gone for the beard thing, but he also hadn't shaved. He was just kind of, shave neutral. He looked like he hadn't slept in a few weeks. His shirt looked like it was beat up. He just looked like he didn't care. And he was talking about, man, just hard to motivate my staff. And I was thinking, I wouldn't even want to talk to you. Like, you're scary, So I just want to know from your perspective, how do you make sure that you hold your staff accountable to performing at that high level without becoming the boss that everybody hates? Because I think some people view it like, well, I either have to be the boss everyone likes and be super nice and, or I have to be the boss that but if I do that, I might get run over. Yeah. Or I've got to be the tyrant boss, the Darth Vader boss with no feelings, no caring, and but people will get stuff done. How do you do the balance there? How do you find that?
Well, I think that a lot of businesses, the employees are looking for someone to look up to.
Okay.
Okay, and so if you're performing at that level where they're looking up to you, you're going to be the boss that you're talking about, the good boss, not the bad boss. It's generally the bosses that go in there and they don't care and they're saying, do what I say, not what I do. And I see that a lot, and I've met people before like that. I kind of look and go, you're really kind of a jerk, and no wonder people don't follow you. Of course, you can't say that.
I met a restaurant owner who literally came up to me at an event years ago. He goes, I cannot get my staff to show up on time. Well, as we start getting to know each other and he asked me to help him on some consulting stuff, meeting's supposed to start at 9. Like 9:50, dude rolls in. I am so sorry. But it's a deal of like, we all have a lot of stuff going on, and I get it as you expand and grow a business. It's hard if you have a tight schedule. And I know for me right now, as we're expanding Thrive, you have to take stuff out of your schedule to add stuff in. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just how it has to work. But if you're the perpetually, hour late boss, you can't really expect your staff to be there on time either. I mean, it's
that's right.
So you have to walk the walk and talk the talk.
And it goes all the way down the line. I was coaching a young kid who was actually in my youth group. He came to me and said, Arthur, I need some help. And he had a hamburger place. And so I went to his hamburger place, and his hair was like 2 feet long, and he comes out and it's in a big bun, and he has this apron on that it has like blood and guts on it, and
he's wicked awesome.
It was crazy, and so he comes out and we sat down and after about 4 or 5 sessions, we had a discussion about his leadership style.
Wait a second, I want to make sure. So he had a apron on with blood and various things on it?
That's exactly right.
And he had long hair like that?
And it was really offensive, because the Chick-fil-A cows and I had this relationship, and so when he came out like that, I was really offended.
Was he? Are you sure he wasn't a Wookiee?
He might have
Fresh
been.
off a recent battle?
Yeah, that's right. He just got done eating. But as our relationship grew, we talked about appearance and how are you showing up to work. I had said, look, you're a business owner. If you're showing up as the guy who's on his knees back there plunging out the toilets, then that's what your employees are going to look at you as. And finally got to where our relationship ended was when I said, you need to cut your hair, because it was everywhere. And not that I'm against it, and guys with long hair, but he was trying. He said, why doesn't the business community respond to me? How come my employees aren't responding to me the way I want? And I'm kind of saying, it might be like because you're living in the 80s and the grunge look is gone.
I think for anybody watching this who might be immediately just put off by this commentary, I think this is important that you think about this for a second. If you look at like, President Obama, or you look at former President Bush, is a general rule, you don't see them out very often, rocking a mullet. You just don't see a lot of presidents with mullets, or you don't see a lot of presidents with dreadlocks. It's not to say that the president could not, because he's got 2 years left as of the taping of this. He could go into the dreadlock phase, and President Obama could pull that off, I'm sure. And but it's people have a first impression when they see you, and whether that's whether you should do it or not, or whether we're into this worldview that people shouldn't judge you. That's fine, but they do. So they maybe shouldn't judge you, but they do. And so what you're talking about is really just making sure that you dress the part, right? So your staff will respect you and you look the part. And
the phrase my management and I like to use is dress how you want to be addressed.
Dress how you want to be addressed.
That's correct.
Love it. Now, let me ask you this. If I'm watching this and I am not super motivated to begin training my employees, I'm saying, God, just fuck, it's common sense. At this company, you would think they would just answer the phone with enthusiasm, or you would think I shouldn't have to tell my people at the bagel company not to use their phone to text message while customers are in line.
So it was a bagel company.
Yeah, there was a bagel company that I had. So if that is me, what would you say to me if you're talking directly to me on the other end of this camera and you're saying, hey, buddy, if I told you I'm not super motivated to train my staff, what would you tell me?
That you're going to fail. It's pretty simple. You're going to have to get in there and train them and show them exactly the way you want it to be done, and then you're going to have to adhere to that and follow up with them and make sure they're actually doing what you train them to do.
Now, final action step here. Final question I want to ask you, as far as an action step. If I own a business and I've never installed a training system, I have never trained my staff for 15 hours before they're in front of customers, 16 hours. If I've never trained them at all, really, on a consistent basis, what would you tell me? What's an action step or action steps that we can all do?
I would start with just sitting down and creating a list of what are you wanting?
Okay.
What are you wanting from them? Is it about answering phones? Is it about customer service? Let's start with that. And then you can kind of break it down from there and say, so I have a retail establishment and I sell nail polish, which I don't sell nail polish, but let's just say I do.
I would buy from you if you did.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to start a nail polish business. Well, what does that person need to know at the front line if they're going to be selling someone on nail polish? What are the important things? And then break it down and say, here's the important things, and then we break those things down. But look at what is the most important thing. Is it to be greeting the customer when they walk in the door? Is it to make sure that that the store is clean? I mean, whatever you focus on is going to happen.
So I'm going to break. I just want to recap these three because it sounds like one, we want to create a list of what you want your staff to know. We want to make a list. Two, we want to break it down into different parts. So maybe one part's about how to clean the restroom, one part's on how to greet guests, one's on how to answer the phone, that kind of thing. And then I think the third action step that I think is important is asking yourself, when are you going to do it? I know I just worked with one company that now he trains his staff every day from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. before customers show up. Every single day, 9 to 10. And it's made a world of difference just having that time blocked out there. So, Arthur, I appreciate you giving us a little bit of that Chick-fil-A knowledge. You guys do it right at Chick-fil-A, and you have an addictive chemical in your chicken, which keeps me coming back. So I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. JT, do you know what time it is?
4:10.
It's Tebow time in Tulsa, Jerusalem, baby. Tim Tebow is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma, June 27th and 28th. We've been doing business conferences here since 2005. I've been hosting business conferences since 2005. What year were you born?
1995.
Dude, I've been hosting business conferences since you were 10 years old, but I've never had the two-time Heisman Award-winning Tim Tebow come present. And a lot of people, have followed Tim Tebow's football career on the field and off the field. And off the field, the guy's been just as successful as he has been on the field. Now, the big question is, JT, how does he do it?
Well, they're going to have to come and find out because I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, Tim Tebow's going to teach us how he organizes his day, how he organizes his life, how he's proactive with his faith, his family, his finances. He's going to walk us through his mindset that he brings into the gym, into business. It is going to be a blasty blast in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Also, this is the first Thrive Time Show event that we've had where we're going to have a man who has built $100 million net worth.
Wow.
Who'll be presenting. Now, we've had a couple presenters that have had $1 billion net worth in some like real estate sort of things.
Yeah.
But this is the first time we've had a guy who's built a service business, and he's built over $100 million net worth in the service business. It's the yacht driving, multi-state living guru of franchising. Peter Taunton will be in the house. This is the founder of Snap Fitness, the guy behind 9 Round Boxing. He's going to be here in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma, June 27th and 28th. JT, why should everybody want to hear what Peter Taunton has to say?
Oh, because he's incredible. He's just a fountain of knowledge. He is awesome. He has inspired me listening to him talk. And not only that, he also has, he practices what he teaches. So he's a real teacher. He's not a fake teacher like business school teachers. So you got to come learn from him.
Also, let me tell you this, folks. I don't want to get this wrong because if I get it wrong, someone's going to say, you screwed that up, buddy. So Michael Levine, this is Michael Levine. He's going to be coming. You say, who's Michael Levine? I don't want to get this wrong. This is the PR consultant of choice for Michael Jackson, for Prince, for Nike, for Charlton Heston, for Nancy Kerrigan, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times best-selling authors he's represented, including pretty much everybody you know who's been a super celebrity. This is Michael Levine, a good friend of mine. He's going to come and talk to you about personal branding and the mindset needed to be super successful. The lineup will continue to grow. We have hit Christian recording artist Colton Dixon in the house. Now, people say, Colton Dixon's in the house? Yes, Colton Dixon's in the house. So if you like top 40 Christian music, Colton Dixon's going to be in the house performing. The lineup will continue to grow each and every day. We're going to add more and more speakers to this all-star lineup. But I encourage everybody out there today, get those tickets today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com. And some people might be saying, well, how do I do it? What do I do? How does it work? You just go to thrivetimeshow.com. Let's go there now. We're feeling the flow. We're going to thrivetimeshow.com. Again, you just go to thrivetimeshow.com. You click on the business conferences button, and you click on the request tickets button right there. The way I do our conferences is we tell people it's $250 to get a ticket.
Yep.
Or whatever price that you can afford. And the reason why I do that is I grew up without money. JT, you're in the process of building a super successful company. Did you start out with $1 million in the bank account?
No, I did not. Nope, did not get any loans, nothing like that. Did not get an inheritance from parents or anything like that. I had to work for it, and I'm super grateful. I came to a business conference. That's actually how I met you, met Peter Taunton. I met all these people.
So if you're out there today and you want to come to our workshop, again, you just got to go to thrivetimeshow.com. You might say, well, when's it going to be? June 27th and 28th. You might say, well, who's speaking? We already covered that. You might say, where's it going to be? It's going to be in Tulsa, Jerusalem, Oklahoma. And so it says Tulsa, Jerusalem. I'm really trying to rebrand Tulsa as Tulsa, Jerusalem, sort of like the Jerusalem of America. But if you type in Thrive Time Show and Jinx, you can get a sneak peek or a look at our office facility. This is what it looks like. This is where you're headed. It's going to be a blasty blast. You can look inside, see the facility. We're going to have hundreds of entrepreneurs here. It is going to be packed. Now, for this particular event, folks, the seating is always limited because my facility isn't a limitless convention center. You're coming to my actual home office, and so it's going to be packed. So when? June 27th and 28th. Who? You're going to come. Who? You? I'm talking to you. You can just get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. And again, you can name your price. We tell people it's $250 or whatever price you can afford. And we do have some select VIP tickets, which gives you an access to meet some of the speakers and those sorts of things. And those tickets are $500. It's a 2-day interactive business workshop, over 20 hours of business training. We're going to give you a copy of my newest book, The Millionaire's Guide to Becoming Sustainably Rich. You're going to leave with a workbook. You're going to leave with everything you need to know to start and grow a super successful company. It's practical, it's actionable, and it's Tebow time right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem. Get those tickets today at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hello, I'm Michael Levine, and I'm talking to you right now from the center of Hollywood, California, where I have represented over the last 35 years 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times bestsellers. I've represented a lot of major stars, and I've worked with a lot of major companies, and I think I've learned a few things about what makes them work and what makes them not work. Now, why would a man living in Hollywood, California, in the beautiful sunny weather of LA, come to Tulsa? Because last year I did it, and it was damn exciting. Clay Clark has put together an exceptional presentation, really life-changing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I'm Michael Levine. I'll see you in Tulsa.
James, did I tell you my good friend John Lee Dumas is also joining us at the in-person 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show business workshop that Tim Tebow and that Michael Levine will be at? Have I told you this?
You have not told me that.
Oh, he's coming all the way from Puerto Rico. This is John Lee Dumas, the host of the chart-topping EOFire.com podcast. He's absolutely a living legend. This guy started a podcast after wrapping up his service in the United States military, and he started recording this podcast daily in his home, to the point where he started interviewing big-time folks like Gary Vaynerchuk, like Tony Robbins, and he just kept interviewing bigger and bigger names, putting out shows day after day. And now he is the legendary host of the EO Fire podcast, and he's traveling all the way from Puerto Rico to Tulsa, Oklahoma to attend the in-person June 27th and 28th Thrive Time Show 2-day interactive business workshop. If you're out there today, folks, you've ever wanted to grow a podcast, a broadcast, you want to improve your marketing, if you've ever wanted to improve your marketing, your branding, if you've ever wanted to increase your sales, you want to come to the 2-day interactive June 27th and 28th Thrive Time Show business workshop featuring Tim Tebow, Michael Levine, John Lee Dumas, and countless big-time super successful entrepreneurs. It's going to be life-changing. Get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. James, what website is that?
ThriveTimeshow.com.
James, one more time before enthusiasm.
ThriveTimeshow.com.
Shine, everything rides on tonight. Even if I got 3 strikes, I'ma go for it. This moment, we own it. I'm not to be played with because it could get dangerous. See these people I ride with. This moment, we own it.
Thrive Time Show 2-day interactive business workshops are the world's highest rated and most reviewed business workshops because we teach you what you need to know to grow.
You can learn the proven 13-point business systems that Dr. Zellner and I have used over and over to start and grow successful companies. I mean, we get into the specific steps on what you need to do to optimize your website. We're going to teach you how to fix your conversion rate. We're going to teach you how to do a social media marketing campaign that works. How do you raise capital? How do you get a small business loan? We teach you everything you need to know here during a 2-day, 15-hour workshop. It's all here for you. You work every day in your business, but for 2 days you can escape and work on your business and build these proven systems so now you can have a successful company that will produce both the time freedom and the financial freedom that you deserve. You're going to leave energized, motivated, but you're also going to leave empowered. The reason why I've built these workshops is because as an entrepreneur, I always wish that I had this. And because there wasn't anything like this, I would go to these motivational seminars, no money down, real estate, Ponzi scheme, get motivated seminars, and they would never teach me anything. It was like you went there and you paid for the big chocolate Easter bunny, but inside of it, it was a hollow nothingness. And I wanted the knowledge, and they're like, oh, but we'll teach you the knowledge after our next workshop. And the great thing is we have nothing to upsell. At every workshop, we teach you what you need to know. There's no one in the back of the room trying to sell you some next big get-rich-quick, walk-on-hot coals product. It's literally, we teach you the brass tacks, the specific stuff that you need to know to learn how to start and grow a business. And I encourage you to not believe what I'm saying, and I want you to Google the Z66 auto auction. I want you to Google elephant in the room. Look at Robert Zellner and Associates. Look them up and say, are they successful because they're geniuses, or are they successful because they have a proven system? When you do that research, you will discover that the same systems that we use in our own business can be used in your business. Come to Tulsa, book a ticket, and I guarantee you it's going to be the best business workshop ever, and we'll even give you your money back if you don't love it. We've built this facility for you, and we're excited to see you.
And Now you may be thinking, what does it actually cost to attend an in-person 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show business workshop? Well, good news. The tickets are $250 or whatever price that you can afford. What? Yes, they're $250 or whatever price you can afford. I grew up without money, and I know what it's like to live without money. So if you're out there today and you want to attend our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop, all you got to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com to request those tickets. And if you can't afford $250, we have scholarship pricing available to make it affordable for you.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. Today I'm broadcasting from Phoenix, Arizona, not Scottsdale, Arizona. They're close, but they're completely different worlds. And we have a special guest today. Definition of intelligence is if you agree with me, you're intelligent. And so this gentleman is very intelligent. I've done this show before also, but very seldom do you find somebody who lines up on all counts. And it's a Mr. Clay Clark. He's a friend of a good friend, Eric Trump. But we're also talking about money, bricks, and how screwed up the world can get in a few and a half hours. So Clay Clark is a very intelligent man, and there's so many ways we could take this thing. But I thought, since you and Eric are close, Trump, what were you saying about what Trump can't, what Donald, who's my age, and I can say or cannot say?
First of all, I have to honor you, sir. I want to show you what I did to one of your books here. There's a guy by the name of Jeremy Thorne, who was my boss at the time. I was 19 years old, working at Faith Highway. I had a job at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And he said, have you read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? And I said, no. And my father, may he rest in peace, he didn't know these financial principles. So I started reading all of your books and really devouring your books. And I went from being an employee to self-employed to the business owner to the investor. And I owe a lot of that to you. And I just wanted to take a moment to tell you thank you so much for allowing me to achieve success. And then I'll tell you all about Eric Trump. But I just want to tell you thank you, sir, for changing my life.
Well, not only that, Clay, thank you, but you become an influencer. More than anything else, you've evolved into an influencer where your word has more and more power. So that's why I congratulate you on becoming. Because as you know, there's a lot of fake influencers out there too, or bad influencers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad you and I agree so much, and thanks for reading my books.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thrill for me today. Not a thrill, but recognition is when people, young men especially, come up and say, I read your book, changed my life. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York. Acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Whoa. Hey, I'm Ryan Wimpy. I'm originally from Tulsa, born and raised here. I went to a small private liberal arts college and got a degree in business. And I didn't learn anything like they're teaching here. I didn't learn linear workflows. I learned stuff that I am not using and I haven't been using for the last 9 years. So what they're teaching here is actually way better than what I got at business school. And I went what was actually ranked as a very good business school. The linear workflow for us and getting everything out on paper and documented is really important. Like we have workflows that are kind of all over the place, so having linear workflow and seeing that mapped out on multiple different boards is pretty awesome. That's really helpful for me. The atmosphere here is awesome. I definitely just stared at the walls, figuring out how to make my facility look like this place. This place rocks. It's invigorating. The walls are super, it's just very cool. The atmosphere is cool. The people are nice. It's a pretty cool place to be. Very good learning atmosphere. I literally want to model it and steal everything that's here at this facility and basically create it just on our business side.
Once I saw what they were doing, I knew I had to get here at the conference. This is probably the best conference or seminar I've ever been to in over 30 years of business.
You're not bored. You're awake, alive the whole time. It's not pushy. They don't try to sell you a bunch of things.
I was looking to learn how to just get control of my life, my schedule, and just get control of the business.
Planning your time, breaking it all down, making time for the F6 in your life, and just really implementing it and sticking with the program.
It's really lively. They're pretty friendly, helpful. Very welcoming.
I attended a conference a couple months back, and it was really the best business conference I've ever attended.
At the workshop, I learned a lot about time management, really prioritizing what's the most important.
Biggest takeaways are, you want to take a step-by-step approach to your business. Whether it's marketing, what are those 3 marketing tools that you want to use, to human resources.
Now, some of the most successful people and successful businesses in this town, their owners were here today because they wanted to know more from Clay, and I found that to be kind of fascinating.
The most valuable thing that I've learned is diligence. That businesses don't change overnight. It takes time and effort, and you got to go through the ups and downs of getting it to where you want to go.
He actually gives you the roadmap out. I was stuck, didn't know what to do, and he gave me the roadmap out step by step.
We've set up systems in the business that make my life much easier, allow me some time freedom.
Here you can ask any question you want. They guarantee it'll be answered.
This conference motivates me and also give me a lot of knowledge and tools.
It's up to you to do it. Everybody can do these things. There's stuff that everybody knows, but if you don't do it, nobody else can do it for you.
I can see the marketing working, and it's just an approach that makes sense.
Probably the most notable thing is just the income increase that we've had.
Everyone's super fun, it's super motivating. I've been here before, but I'm back again because it motivates me.
Your competition's going to come eventually, or try to pick up these tactics. So you better, if you don't, somebody else will.
I'm Rachel with Tip Top Canine, and we just want to give a huge thank you to Clay and Vanessa Clark.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan with Tip Top Canine. Just want to say a big thank you to Thrive 15. Thank you to Make Your Life Epic. We love you guys, we appreciate you, and really just appreciate how far you've taken us. This is our old house, right? This is where we used to live a few years ago. This is our old neighborhood. See? It's nice, right? So this is my old van and our old school marketing, and this is our old team. And by team, I mean it's me and another guy.
This is our new house with our new neighborhood.
This is our new van with our new marketing, and this is our new team. We went from 4 to 14, and I took this beautiful photo. We worked with several different business coaches in the past, and they were all about helping Ryan sell better and just teaching sales, which is awesome, but Ryan is a really great salesman. So we didn't need that. We needed somebody to help us get everything that was in his head out into systems, into manuals and scripts, and actually build a team. So now that we have systems in place, we've gone from 1 to 10 locations in only a year.
In October 2016, we grossed 13 grand for the whole month. Right now it's 2018, the month of October. It's only the 22nd. We've already grossed a little over 50 grand for the whole month, and we still have time to go. We're just thankful for you, thankful for Thrive and your mentorship, and we're really thankful that you guys have helped us to grow a business that we run now instead of the business running us. Just thank you times 1,000.
So we really just want to thank you, Clay, and thank you, Vanessa, for everything you've done, everything you've helped us with. We love you guys.
If you decide to not attend the Thrive Time workshop, you're missing out on a great opportunity.
The atmosphere of Clay's office is very lively. You can feel the energy as soon as you walk through the door, and it really got me and my team very excited.
If you decide not to come, you're missing out on an opportunity to grow your business. Bottom line.
Love the environment. I love the way that Clay presents and teaches. It's a way that not only allows me to comprehend what's going on, but he explains it in a way to where it just makes sense.
The SEO optimization, branding, marketing. I've learned more in the last 2 days than I have the entire 4 years of college.
The most valuable thing that I've learned, marketing is key. Marketing is everything.
Making sure that you're branded accurately and clearly. How to grow a business using Google reviews, and then just how to optimize our name through our website also.
Helpful with a lot of marketing, search engine optimization, helping us really rank high in Google.
The biggest thing I needed to learn was
how to build my foundation, how to systemize everything and optimize everything, build my SEO.
How to become more organized, more efficient.
How to make sure the business is really there to serve me as opposed to me constantly being there for the business.
New ways of advertising my business, as well as recruiting new employees.
Group interviews, number one. Before we felt like we were held hostage by our employees. Group interviews has completely eliminated that because you're able to really find the people that would really be the best fit.
Hands-on how to hire people, how to deal with human resources, a lot about marketing, and overall just how to structure the business, how it works for me, and also then how that can translate into working better for my clients.
The most valuable thing I've learned here is time management.
I like the 1 hour of doing your business is real critical if I'm going to grow and change.
Play really teaches you how to navigate through those things and not only find freedom, but find your purpose in your business and find the purposes for all those other people that directly affect your business as well.
Everybody
Everyone
needs to attend the conference because you get an opportunity to see that it's real.